And we are live, Nat. We are so live. We do everything live on this show. Welcome to AAA Live, the most controversial show on this channel, apparently. I'm your host today, Dylan Camacho. With me here is the one, the only, the magnificent Nat Vu, everybody.
Howdy, everybody.
And today, we have a pretty interesting episode, right, Nat?
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff, and we might make some people not happy, but we're gonna try to keep it as positive as possible because that's
as positive as possible. I'm just hoping that I can just see. Don't have audio turned on. That's possibly true, Lucas. Let's find out. One sec. Wait, audio.
Oh no, Lucas is saying he doesn't have audio turned on because.
Oh, gotcha. All right, I was about to say, Lucas, don't do that to me, buddy. You're killing me. Send please help. SOS. Sorry, Lucas, you're out of luck, buddy. Anyway, now that Lucas has totally derailed the whole show, damn it, Lucas. Anyway, welcome to AAA Live, guys. Today we are going to be talking about two things. Today on our roster, we are going to talk about the one, the only, the queen of corruption herself, Shannon, and we're going to talk about her kayfabe work so far in the Schmodown.
You're not talking about why she's a heel, Alex.
Yep, why she's actually a heel, contrary to some other co-hosts' shots in here. Shots. Amen, guys. Amen. Party hard. I'm glad you're partying here with the AAA Live cast right here. Also on the show, we're going to be talking about, one, is Jeannine a championship level competitor? And two, how do you beat Jeannine the Machine? So this may be a very back and forth talk with Jeannine. If she tunes in, it'll be right when we start to talk negative. Jeannine, we love you on the show. Please don't tune in just on that part. There's a lot of stuff to see it. Got to see the whole context. See the whole picture. Yes. See the whole picture. Anyway, Nat, before we start up, this is AAA Live. What in the world is AAA Live? Everybody keeps asking us. What is it?
Well, we are not the American Automobile Association. In fact, we are attractive adults, actually.
Wait, what's the other A for?
What?
Attractive adults. And then there's another A.
Actually.
Oh, okay.
Did I get cut off there? I'm sorry.
No, yeah, you're fine. I just didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Lucas is just buying shots and going crazy in our chat. So, Lucas, buy a shot of Fireball for everybody for me. Thanks, buddy.
There goes. Don't get that.
Yeah, don't say that. He'll do it. Anyway, now that Lucas has totally derailed me once again, let's get into it, Nat. Let's start on the Queen of Corruption herself. Let's talk about Shannon Barney and her kayfabe work. Let's
do it.
All right. Lead the way, my friend.
Okay. So Shannon is without a doubt my favorite new character of the season. I think she's locked in heel of the year before the season even started by breaking up the wild berries. Everything she does is deliberate, and everything she does was with the intent to piss people off. And I fucking love it. Like to me, she's the perfect example of how a heel manager should act.
You know, it's funny. So far in the history of Schmodown, we've had like Dagnino as a heel manager. We have, I guess R&B as a heel manager. We've had Grace and Ken as heel managers. But I'm telling you, you see something special. It's like when Guy started doing his first heel work, when Roca did his first heel work and this stuff. We are in the Shannon level of heel work, and it is transcending the game in so many interesting ways. I 100% agree with you. She is doing everything you need to be doing right as a heel manager. She started it off by breaking up the wild berries, which we were there live to see, screaming. She has just been going in, spitting fire on every single manager, every single competitor. She is just burning the whole world down, and that is exactly what we need to see from a heel manager. She is crushing it right now. Brandon Hanna in the chat. What's up with this title? What kind of show is this? Brandon Hanna, welcome to tuning in to AAA Live. AAA Live, today we're talking about two things, buddy. Firstly, as we can see from the title below, we're talking about Shannon, and we're talking about her excellent kayfabe work in the Schmodown so far. The second part, we're going to be talking about Jeannine in multiple capacities. We're going to talk about if she's a champion-level competitor, and we're going to talk about how to beat Jeannine on the other side of things. So if you want to see how that turns out, stay tuned, buddy. Anyway, now that chat is continually going to just make me not ever talk about what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm with you on this, though. So far, I think she is the total lock for going to be the heel of the year this year. Guy has gone tweener at this point. So, I mean, really, that takes out the automatic win choice. Is there anybody that's even coming close to being a big enough heel for competition for Shannon thus far?
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of great heels in the league. But, I mean, it's hard because it's only February. It's not even March yet, and it's incredible the amount of work she's put in. Like,
right,
she elevated the heel game until a whole new level. And not even just in post interviews and interviews and matches themselves, and she plays the heel character on social media so well too. Like, she knows how to interact with people. She knows how to like get under people's skin, and she does everything she does is with the intent to play that into her character. And I respect that so much.
Yeah, I think it really takes somebody to be fully dedicated to the heel thing. You know, I think you see some people kind of bleeding it and having moments and having moments where they're just, talking shit or doing something that's heel-ish or something like that. But, I mean, I think about, Mike in comparison, and not, Mike's not a manager or anything like that. But even with Mike Kalinowski, whenever he was doing his corruption run and it was fully into anarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's still in the corruption run, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is during the anarchy run and everything like that, yeah, I mean, he was the heel reason that everything was happening. He was breaking everybody up. He was doing all that. He was like target number one for being like the bad guy of the season. But still, even in his matches, you still see him coming off and saying, they played a great match. They did this. He was very respectful. That's always been his thing. He's never really fully been a heel. He's been, like 60-40 or something like that.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Like, everyone knows I'm a Mike fanboy, but like, I think he's a really good heel when he's in character, but he does break out of the character from time to time, and you can't really, like, it's an emotional sport and whatever. But the thing I love about Shannon is that there's no glimpse of heart in her. She's completely heartless.
She is, and I say this in the nicest way possible, she is a cold, heartless bitch, and we love her for it. Like,
yeah. We said it in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, and you know what? She would respect the amount of vulgarity that was used to describe her on that one, I would say. So, 100%. Like, Shannon Barney, where do we think the direction of Shannon's going to go moving forward? And as a manager, she's in a pretty interesting spot where she's even let Bonnie have her match, said, cool, got the points I needed from you, I'm done with you. Threw her away immediately after the match is done. Like, we haven't seen a manager be that aggressive with a player thus far. She's doing fantasy league level moves, just like, all right, done with this character. Like,
yeah, and she's the perfect person to do it too, because you have to treat it like you would like fantasy football or whatever. If a player is not like competing to the best of their ability, they're just sitting on there, they're not getting points, then you have to cut them. You have to do whatever you can to make your team as good as possible. I think the way that she did it was very heel, contrary to what some people might think. Mm-hmm. But it needed to be done. And I think the league desperately needs a manager who's that cutthroat. And just to pause this discussion for just 1 second,
sure.
Brandon Hannah in the chat says, you better not have an episode of Have Beat Me. Go back and watch the Chandra episode, Brandon.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Shannon is really just going 100% in, totally invested, totally killing it. What do you think her direction is going to be like as the year goes on? I think a lot of this is actually going to play in her favor. I think she'll be the first to be cutting players who aren't bringing in the points like they should. I think that she's holding on to Elliot Dewberry for a big trade. Like, I mean, we both know I think she's holding on to that Wild Bear reunion just to make sure she gets the most value out of it.
Just squeezing that juice out.
She really is.
I'm not sure where she's going to be going this season, because I don't know how well she's going to perform as a manager, like on a wins and losses standpoint.
Sure.
I think that the way her character is shaping out, I don't think there's anyone better suited to make big moves than her. Like, she's gonna be dropping big name players for other players, regardless of how they feel and how they get along with their team and everything. I think she's gonna do what she needs to get done to get points.
And I think that's a great point, is not caring what other players feel. I think she's invested in the players that are on our team until they are not serving the goal, until they are not pushing the corruption faction forward. And in the way that Schmoedown is now, where it's your top tier players, the egos are just through the roof at this point. I mean, we look over at all the drama that's been happening with the exchange recently, and it's just been a clash of egos, not appealing to this person or this person or this person. I think you really do need a manager like Shannon to be like, listen, you're not the manager. Cut the shit. You're either in or you're out. Like, I don't care if you're a former champion. I don't care if you're this. Like, you're not performing at the level you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think that aggressive play is really going to pay off for our long term, because I think some other managers are more likely to be more emotionally invested in their players. But on the flip side of that, that could also be an Achilles heel for Shannon's work down the road as a manager later. Some players may not feel, if they're taking a couple losses, that they're going to think, oh man, Shannon's going to tank me. Shannon's going to like discard me. I think that's a real concern to have if I'm a player on Shannon's faction and I'm not performing and winning every one of my matches.
Yeah, I think the way that corruption works is it's not a family, except for like her and Mike and Chance maybe. It's not like a family like other factions. Like even if you do bad, then you might be given more chances than you would with Shannon. I think Shannon, like, she looks at this as a business, and I think it's a double-edged sword really, because it could go either. People might not be like motivated to compete for her, but I mean, you have to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think if they just see it as strictly business and she'll pick it up, I think it's still TBD to see exactly like you said how well of a manager she is in the moment of a match. If she has, and more often than not, she's going to be there with Mike or somebody else. So if Mike isn't performing in that said match, then she's going to have, Mike Kaunowski sitting there in his ear or in her ear saying, hey, this needs to be challenged right away, or this needs to be this. So she doesn't need to be as knowledgeable about movies, because as she's mentioned before, she would be terrible if she played Schmoedown. Mm-hmm. And she even said herself, I think she's really been learning the game and being super invested into it. So I think that she's got a good read on that. But knowing when to make those challenge moments, is this a badly worded question? Is this in the sense of the movie that they're asking about this? Can you challenge here, or do you find a loophole? I don't think she's going to be as quick to be able to see those moments. So I think that's going to be the pros and cons of seeing Shannon as a manager moving forward. But overall, you are so glad when you start a promo and you have Shannon there to just start drinking wine and talking shit, though. Like, that confidence factor, you're there. Going into the match, you should have a great headspace.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, too, because she's like a really good mouthpiece. Like, if you're on her team, you don't have to worry about cutting promos or anything. You just stay locked in the match, and she will do all the talking for you. I think that's invaluable.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think she's going to really excel in a manager in a lot of ways. I think there's a couple things that could go poorly, but I think that aggressive attitude is going to be more in her favor than not. So, yeah, I think Shannon's kayfabe, and as both her character and as a manager, is going to be really great to see and how that develops. I can't wait to see the bigger heel moves that come from her. I want to see her dump half the faction. Like, I want to see her dump the whole faction and do a total revamp at some point. Just get wild. Something over the top, like, what the did she just do? Like, I want her. If any manager is going to come out there and do something that we're going to sit here and say, I didn't think you could be able to do that, I think it's going to be Shannon.
Absolutely. I think. Wait, hold on. Let me take a look at our team here for a second.
Sure. Yeah.
So right now, the only are there any confirmed teams besides Mike and Chance?
I think she says she's putting Dewberry with Edward Hewick. That's been a cutscene already too. So.
Yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see how she does moving forward, because what if like there's a team that forms and they get along really well, but they keep losing? Shannon's not going to hesitate to drop them to split them.
No, I think and honestly, like Elliott and Hewick, they're so polar opposite on their strengths. I think that's actually a really well-rounded team. Elliott's a lot better than people give him credit for. And Hewitt is a super strong player as well. I think the team is actually really good, but it's going to be who they get paired up for their first match. Because if they get paired up with someone equal or better, it's TBD, because that synergy is really, we have yet to see anything with them working together. If they get paired against somebody who knowledge-wise is just like an inferior team by comparison, I think we'll see them blow up and do really well. But I think it's all going to come off that first match. If they win it, I think that they're going to want to put that investment in. If they lose, it's a ticking clock to see them just tear apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we're talking about in character. Like, I don't know how she is outside Kayfabe as a manager. Like, she could be the nicest person in the world.
Probably is. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I would imagine that she talked to Bonnie about her statement on Twitter before she actually released it.
Yeah.
But being a heel gives her that excuse to make those big moves that other managers don't have. So
right. But anyway, guys, that's our talk on Shannon. How's her kayfabe? Her kayfabe is excellent so far. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, she's doing so good. I'm doing my best not to be here and be a full-out corruption fan, but I am a full-out Shannon fan this season. Like, that is without a doubt.
I'm both.
Oh, man.
Honestly, I can't wait till later in the year where we're like running out of people to do kayfabe on and we revisit Shannon because I think she's just going to grow and get better.
I think there's going to be so many – we're going to have a highlight reel of moments to sit there and talk about with Shannon and sitting and saying, I can't believe she did that. Like, you know, it's going to be great to come back to that one. But without further ado, let's get into our next segment. Now, the next segment we have is perception versus reality. And today we're going to challenge the perception of – is Jeannine a champ-level competitor? We've got stats. We have the answers. Let's just get into it, Nat. Is Jeannine a champ-level competitor? I'll let you start it off, my friend.
100% yes. I think that I said during our reaction that she's not under. She used to when she first started. She used to be underrated because everyone was like doubting her and everything. And I said that I don't think you can say that anymore. I think she's properly rated. But with comments that I've seen from people, I definitely think she's severely underrated because she's so much better than her record shows. She's first and foremost, she's a fan, so she's locked in on the strategy side. Yeah. She cares about this league so much, and she wants to do well. And I think that's more than you can say about a lot of competitors, which already gives her a huge edge. I think she's just had a run of bad luck, and I think it's only uphill from here. Yeah,
I totally agree. We are very universally in agreement that Jeannine is very much a champion-level competitor, knowledge-wise, focus-wise, and all of that. Jeannine does have some flaws that hold her back, and we'll get a little bit more into that in Competitor's Corner when we talk about how we're talking about beating Jeannine. But let's crack into the stats a little bit and just challenge this, because I think some people are seeing her match after Riley and saying, you know, Jeannine's not that good. She's overhyped. You know, everybody keeps saying she's the next champion and all this, and they're just shooting her down with it. But let's get into the stats. We got the nitty-gritty numbers to sit here and back up the crazy statements that we're saying that Jeannine is a champion-level competitor. Shout out to Megan McCurley, as always, for getting these wonderful stats put together on it. Here they come. Let me get these up right here. All right, let me get this banner down real quick. Get out of here, banner. All right, so here is Jeannine's records and run-through within this past year's season. Now, we got her start last year against Chance. Solid match all the way through. Loses on a really rough 5-pointer. TKO's Howard in the following match she goes up against. And then she goes on a pretty rough losing streak from here. At the Manager Bowl, she almost clutches it out against McWeeny on her 5-pointer. If she had hit that, I believe that she would have won. I don't recall if McWeeny had his 5 or not, but it was close enough where it was just down to McWeeny and Jeannine. She had outlasted Roca, outlasted Howard, outlasted Zipper. And I think that not taking away anything, like she took out Roca essentially in this way, missing her match against Bateman. Oh, we are missing a match on here. Yeah, it might be on the graphics, Jeannine. Not Jeannine. Brienne, thanks for pointing that out. But yeah, even as we're kind of coming down through here, you know, take some hard losses to Mike twice, but the throwdown match was so solid. And then, of course, there's the Riley match with that. Her round 3 accuracy, her 2-pointer, she's nailing it every time. And here's where let's get our faces up here again. I really want to cover into Jeannine as a rounded player. So people are saying that she can't compete at a championship level. She can't do this. And she's even posted some stats of herself into the whole Twitterverse saying, hey, don't believe I'm a championship player? Look at this. And we're just kind of bouncing that same thing on there, missing who's in the studio exhibition where she dominated. Exhibition ones, we won't normally count Brienne, but I completely agree with you. She did crush that one, and that should be an example of other times where she was absolutely dominating and it doesn't show. But exactly fair point. I'm there with you. She crushed on that studio exhibition match. Other stats of Jeannine. Let's get into these ones. So looking at this, round 1 averages amongst the top 10, 11 or so players. Jeannine in round 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She is a top 10 competitor for round 1 averages. In round 2 averages, she is 6th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, sorry. She is 7th place in a round 2 average amongst the top 10 level competitors of all Schmodown and this is coming off the records and stuff off of this previous season. So this isn't lifetime ones. If you look at the lifetime ones, these are prone to vary. But looking at based off this last season, Jeannine is crushing it. Jeannine is doing super well on round 1, averaging around 6 points, which is right at that champ level competition. And for round 2, which surprised me, I didn't think she was actually this high on round 2.
Yeah, she's had some really, really good round 2s. I think what stops her from like winning all those matches is round 3. I think that's what gets her.
Yeah, round 2. It's funny. Like my collection, I think back on our matches, and I feel like that she tanks in round 2. But seeing this, I was like, wow, man, she actually does really solid in round 2. Mm-hmm. But I do remember that there's the times where she totally gets some really bad matches. It's a total right after the 2, by the way. Thanks, man, for clearing that up in the comments. Yeah, now she does get some weaknesses and stuff like that. We'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later. But if we're looking at the top 10 level competitor, she's right there in it, guys. Her record, with the record from this past season being 1-5, and not including the Bateman match in there and everything like that, records aside, again, she's, had some hard losses and everything like that. But overall, we'll get more into that here in a second on Competitor's Corner. Overall, she's competing with the best of them stat-wise. I think she's super solid, but she has a really rough time in round 3. So anybody coming in and saying that she's not a championship-level competitor is, it's just false. Like, the stats themselves paint the whole picture. Mm-hmm. I do agree that there is a big confidence issue. I think that for her, she puts a lot of stakes onto her, or a lot of expectations onto herself, and you can see that confidence really affecting her gameplay, especially in the recent Riley match, where you could tell where she fell behind and probably missed some questions that she knew and got into her head. And I think that kind of really just demotivates her into round 3, and where she's, taking a lot of her losses. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think once again, that's a double-edged sword with her being a fan. Like, she clearly really wants to win, and when she's like in the round 3, the pressure's on. She knows that she could possibly lose it here. I'm not in her head. I don't know what she's thinking, but I could see how one would assume that it's a confidence issue, because like it's the pressure. I can't even imagine how much pressure she's under during these matches. Like, but if you look at these people she's lost to, these are all high level competitors.
Yeah,
she's lost to like killers.
She's lost to going back. She's lost to Bateman on his run to be a champ. She lost to Kalinowski on his run to almost get the belt for 3 belts. She's lost to Riley, who is making a pretty hard comeback. And I think a lot of the Riley thing, Riley is another one of those players that in singles is really played down for his skill. And I think that's something you really can't ignore. If you look at his team performance, I think he's performing really well. I think singles, he's had a rougher go at it. And I think because she lost to Riley, that it puts her much, much lower in perception for everybody.
I think Riley's skill set kind of gets underplayed a little bit, but he is a former 2-time champion. He's like no walk in the park.
Exactly. So when you're looking at she's losing to champs or people on the hottest streaks that they're on, you can't really fault her for that. I think that the fact that she even still puts up a good competition along the way says a lot about her skill. For her to be able to be putting in that effort and putting in that power to sit there and give these people, while they're on their hot streak runs, a run for their money, I think is completely undercredited in the community. Frank Janis in the title. New title, How to Beat Dylan at Podcasting by Literally Being Any Other Host on this channel. Thanks, Frank. I love your contributing to the show as always. So, yeah, anyway. God, Frank, you bastard. So, yeah, Jeannine, 100% a top-tier, champion-level competitor. But where we've said all the praise in the world, we have to get a little in the nitty-gritty for this next segment, Nat, explain Competitor's Corner to, I guess.
Competitor's Corner is where we break down a competitor's strengths, their weaknesses. We basically create a study guide for how you would beat them. Mm-hmm.
And today, Jeannine is the hot topic for perception versus reality, so we felt it was appropriate to make her the Competitor's Corner pick for this evening.
Yeah, we told you how she's great, and now we're gonna tell you how to beat her.
Yeah.
I just want to preface this by saying that we only do this with competitors that we respect. Look at our last competitors we've done. We've done Dan Merle, we've done Brandon Hanna, who was in the chat earlier. We've done all the people who are like who aren't not like easy to beat, except for like maybe the first week when we did Makuga. But
We were testing out the format. We didn't want to do that much research. We knew how to beat Makuga. Like,
yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. We had to legitimately do research to find out how we beat this player, this player, this player. Not only statistically, but also with the in and outs of the game itself. We look at this year's past season's matches and kind of pull our info and strategies from there. Jeannine's had one match this season already, so we can pull some strategies off that. But let's go ahead and get into it. If you tuned in just now, you probably Jeannine or Jeannine's friends watched the first part of Perception versus Reality. We talk a lot better about you in this one, and it's not that we're talking bad about you. We're just breaking down how to beat you. Nothing personal. We love you here, Jeannine. You're a champ level competitor. Go watch that previous segment. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, as we just mentioned in our earlier stats defending why Jeannine is a champ level competitor, her round 1 and round 2 skills are very, very solid. I think she's staying incredibly well-rounded in round 1, keeping a 6-point average. Round 2, she has a really solid performance, all things considered. But I think that's where we start to see some of the weaknesses of Jeannine. I think Jeannine does have some bigger weaknesses than other competitors at that top 10 ranking. And that will tend to show not only in round 2, but specifically in round 3. Exactly. Right, Nat?
Yeah, right. Because I think with Jeannine, she has trouble with those really deep cuts. Like, if it's round 1, then she's going to kill it. She's going to know, like, all the basic knowledge of all these movies.
Right.
But when you get, like, really deep into it, she has a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. I mean, looking at round 2... It's funny. I could have sworn, looking back, that round 2 performances were always going to be some of her worst ones. But overall, no. I mean, she performs really well in round 2. Let me pull the stats here real quick.
What she knows well, she knows really well.
Yeah. What she does know, she's great at.
Yeah.
The things that she is not so well on, let's look at some of these percentages on these categories. So, action adventure, round 1 weakness. It's actually, she's about 53%, a little bit over average. Movie quotes, which is notoriously a really hard category. I'm not going to falter on that one. I think a lot of competitors are going to be really dwindling on movie quotes. Tom Cruise, Leo. She's had to go multiple choice. She still pulling 66%, but just the fact that, it's a weakness. It's clearly a weakness. She's not getting over 70, over 80. A lot of what the people that she's getting paired against are, even in their weaknesses, getting a little better than her on those ones. On the strength, she crushes Diaz, crushing MCU, doing great in 2000s. Animated, she's doing solid. Rom-coms, absolutely blowing out of the water. She has some really great strengths. And more specifically, I think she has strengths that are very tailor-made to be awesome for her and terrible for her for the other opponents that she's facing, strictly because she has what I would call categories that are going to be favoring women more. So rom-coms, animated Cameron Diaz, I think that more often than not, if she's paired up against like a Mark Riley or a couple other top 10 competitors, it generally just as guys, we're less likely to view these movies than she is. And I think that actually puts her strengths in a really valuable spot because they're less likely to get stolen in that round 2. What do you think, Matt?
I absolutely agree. Like, I think when you're playing Jeannine, you have to know which categories to give her and which to avoid. Like, you've seen in her match with Chance, she spun away from the DiCaprio, and then in her match with Riley, she landed on DiCaprio, and she didn't do too great on it. So
right.
You have to know which specific categories to avoid and which to give her.
Yeah. Carrying on into this conversation of strengths and weaknesses, also, shout out to our boy Oscar Romo. What's up, buddy?
Oscar, what's up?
Oscar, glad to have you on the show. We're looking into round 3 performance. Round 3 performance tends to be Jeannine's biggest weakness. If the players get her into round 3, then that's usually a rough time for her. I think all of the matches that she's made it into round 3, she has tended to lose in round 3, except for whenever she's TKO'd Stacey Howard and she beat Emma and Bonnie in singles. So I do think there's a little bit of a strategy when playing against Jeannine. If you can get ahead or even tie up in round 1, get even better, get ahead in round 2. I think the strategy for her, or the strategy is to be that momentum player. And I think that's something that plays to somebody like Mike Kalinowski's favor really well. I think you're a competitor that if she's not ahead by round 1 or she's not ahead by round 2, she's already beating herself. Coming back to that confidence level things, I think she puts a lot of pressure onto herself and she tends to get into her head for that. So having that confidence in round 3 to be ahead, even by 1 point, I think she's already defeating herself getting into that, which it sucks, but I totally get it. The pressure is really high. And the perception of you right now is that you're trying to prove to everybody that you're as good as you actually are. And those stakes just they mess with you. So going into round 3, not having that advantage, knowing that round 3 is going to be the hardest round for you, I think is really hard for her. So if you're a competitor against Jeannine, you need to be momentum. Round 2, if you get to choose to spin first or second, I say you just go first, rack up as many points as possible, and just sit there and let her play from behind, because that's not an advantage for Jeannine by any means. That tends to be where she suffers the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to say you have to get in her head, because we got in a little bit of trouble last time we said that. But I mean, you just gotta not get deterred if you're down by a couple points by the end of round 1, or you're down by round 2, because you just have to stay in it. You have to stay your course, answer your questions correctly, and you will have a chance against Jeannine.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think Jeannine, if you're going up against her for the first time and you're trying to prove yourself, Jeannine is an excellent competitor to prove yourself against. And the way to do that is just to be ahead as quickly as possible and just maintain that lead, or make sure she doesn't pull ahead. Because the truth is, Jeannine's biggest opponent in her matches in singles is really Jeannine. We've seen time and time again, especially in that Riley match, you really see her deflated by round 3. Even whenever she goes into that, it's just she's from behind. She's playing from behind, and she just looks like she's lost already at that point, which is heartbreaking, because I think that confidence is totally the make or break part of Jeannine. But also, I think that she does suffer in some of, like we mentioned, some of those deep cut questions. Some of those, I think, her studying right now has really put her up on another level in the first round and second round. But if I had to guess, and looking back on the round 2 questions, I don't know for sure. The questions that she's missing in round 2 are probably they're a weak category for her, but B, also categories that are about plot. I think the questions she's probably getting are going to be those surface levels one. Who is the actor who played this? Who's the director who played this? Surface level stuff that you can gain from just looking at the wiki and looking at the trailer. When it comes to plot details and stuff like that, I think those are the ones that maybe is something that she's not studying as much. So if you're going to go in and be a very plot heavy person, if you have a strength, make sure you're watching those movies all the way through. I think you're going to be hitting questions that Jeannine's not going to be stealing. That's another strategy to take into the whole match against Jeannine.
Yeah, and I honestly think I really hope that we revisit her in the next coming year or so, because I think she's only gonna get better. I think those weaknesses that she has, they're so glaring that I think she's gonna fix them real quick. She knows what she has to do to win. So I think that you're gonna have even with this amazing study guide that we've provided you, you're still gonna have a hard time beating Jeannine, because she's gonna put in the work, she's gonna study, and she's gonna get to that top level soon.
Right. I mean, as soon as Jeannine starts shaping up some of these weaknesses, even just being well-rounded in those weaknesses and being able to perform as well as she is in every other category at a round 1 level, she's going to be crushing. Meg's in the chat, our great statistician herself. Excited to see how she improves under Sam and the usual suspects. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Sam is the perfect manager for her, because she needs somebody who's going to have that very analytical way of thinking and helping to plot out. Not that she's weak in that in any ways. She is a big fan of the show. She's been a big fan, so she already has a lot of that strategy mindset going into it. I think that's a huge strength to hers. But I think that because she's so invested into it, that's also the weakness of hers as well. She's going to sit there and overthink, should I do this or should I do this? Should I be thinking that? Do I think that? And I think that mental effort's going to go into focusing on how to win instead of just winning the match.
Yeah, and we can't downplay how valuable Sam's knowledge is, because he's been to the top of the mountain. He's been a double belt champion. He's been the first double belt champion. So he knows what to do in those situations. There's no substitute for that. There's nothing that fans or anyone else can give you that you can't get from a former champion like Sam Levine.
Right. So anyway, let me close this door real quick. My wife's going to come bursting through. Hey, Hannah.
Hey.
It's podcasting right now.
$1 million.
That's my wife, everybody. Fan of the show. Anyway. Hannah, not now. Moral of the story, guys. Let's summarize. Jeannine, she's going to be her biggest opponent in her match. Get ahead. Be a momentum player in round 2. Pull ahead. Her confidence is going to be her biggest weakness in here. Making sure you know what her weaknesses are. She's still got a few that need to be rounded out. There's still a few that really need to be edged out. We got Leo. We've got a couple of the action adventures and the Tom Cruises, and I think those, the popcorn flick action flicks, which I think a couple of those ones she's had really bad luck on. She's been an Action Army member since day one. Jake Yakiavetta, shout out to you, buddy, for being the person who tells Jeannine otherwise. So I think she's really just gotten the bad role on the movies that she's gotten in that category. But because she has gotten those movies and it has shown weakness, I think those are ones that she needs to shape up. But until then, assume that it's a weakness. Really snag her with those categories. Make sure that she lands poorly on the wheel. Being able to pull ahead in round 2 and then really just crushing it in round 3. Because I think it is a marathon, not a sprint with Jeannine. In round 3, you just last her out.
Yeah, there's really nothing else you can do in round 3 except for answer questions correctly. Mm-hmm. But I do think that her stats in round 3 have been not the best, but I think that she's been so close to getting those questions right. Like in her last match with Riley, she had the actor in her mind. She just couldn't pull the name. I think it's just one of those things where the pressure's getting to her. I think if she can get all that under control, if she could get more momentum from winning matches, I think that she's going to be such a hard competitor to win against.
Right. So anyway, guys, that is our study guide on Jeannine the Machine. Jeannine, if you tune in and end up watching this, we have nothing but positive things to say about you, minus the strategy on how to beat you. Hopefully, you and every other competitor who watches this show on the study guide just takes, some of the stuff. If we see that, then other competitors see it too. Shape up those weaknesses, man. Don't worry about it. You are a champ level competitor. Your stats prove that. You know that, but you need to take that mindset into the game. There's so much potential to Jeannine. If you are sitting there and you have her in your fantasy draft, by God, you're going to be so lucky by the end of this season. I guarantee it. She's going to be curving up a lot of those weaknesses, and I guarantee that she's going to be crushing by the time it's said and done. I do think that she needs to just break her curse and get a win, and ideally, be able to sit there and not get paired against somebody who is at that championship level competitor. Because right now, it sucks because Schmoedown knows how good Jeannine is, so she's getting paired up against former champs, people on hot streak runs, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think more than anything, Jeannine just needs a confidence win, and I swear that you're going to see her go on a streak herself. I really do.
I believe it. I think she's going to win maybe 2 or 3 straight from here on out.
Yeah. Can't wait to see her work on the team as well. I think there's some confidence boosting to be had on that. But anyway, guys, that has been our show here at AAA Live. Nat, let's do some plugs and then go home, buddy. We're already home, but we're going to try to camera. Lead the way.
You can find me on Twitter at NattyIce44. You can find me on Facebook at NatVu. And you can find me here and every other week, every other Thursday on AAA Live.
Mm-hmm. You can also catch me here, Dylan Camacho, at Call to Action Podcast, AAA Live here every other Thursday. Make sure to tune in whenever we actually put this up. You can catch me at CAMACH Octopus at Twitter. I'm not going to put that up on screen. Don't worry about it. Make sure to catch up on some of our other channels. We have John Roca coming up on Chill to Action here soon. Go check out Schmo. You guys are probably already checking it. Those views are killing it right now. And you
don't really need to plug that show.
Yeah, we don't need to plug either.
It is.
They probably need to plug us a little more because people keep trying to figure out what AAA is, and they're not even sure if it's Schmoedown. Guys, it's Schmoedown. Come watch the show. Anyway, guys, that is it for this evening. Thank you for tuning on in. Special shout out to Megan McCurley, as always, for putting in the sweet work for the graphics and the stats. Shout out to everybody who's watching, and everybody had a wonderful evening. Can't wait to see how Atlanta goes. Tune in to that Saturday, and we're going to be breaking down a whole bunch of stuff the next time we come around after the Schmoedown Atlanta live event. That's going to be our show, everybody. We'll see you in another week or so. I refuse